Better idea. Try to both use the same
Fucking
headset.
cut me out.
We can.
You
but the
can
problem is
you
we
you
can't
listen.
squeeze both of us onto the same headset. So she could speak. No, you can speak through it, but you can't hear them. So if you,
No, have her listen through her phone, but leave her mic completely muted, and
So
just
if you,
have her speak through
you
your
come
mic.
over here, sit next to me on laptop.
Yeah. Oh, that's a hard floor.
That's the only way to make this work. Basically, go ahead.
Hey,
mute your
no,
microphone.
a true gentleman would give her the fucking seat.
No, we're having to sit on the
Come
hard
on.
floor because it's the only place to sit with Wi-Fi in my room, basically, that's strong enough for the
Oh.
podcast.
It's all right.
I
I'll
thought you
get
were in a
cushion.
chair making her sit on the floor next to you or some shit.
No, I'm literally sat on the floor, topless.
No, he's
I very much hope this is all left in the episode.
You know what? I might actually take the place off because it's going right up my arse.
Oh God! Right, babe, can you mute yours now, please, love?
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh, look at that ass. She's bent over right in front of me, and I get to be right pervy. I'm not leaving this in because that's going to be very out of context and doesn't paint me in a good light.
Sorry, I'm recording. I'll upload it separately within the window.
Almost like I did it on purpose.
You'll upload it on the Alex Twinspark Exposed. Find out what a heathen Alex Twinspark actually is.
There's a pair of testicles on the floor.
Oh yeah, that's
Some out of context screenshots from the group chat could probably get you cancelled.
Right. Can you guys hear me nicely now?
Yes.
And can you hear Abby? Abby, speak.
Hello.
Yeah, we can both of you just fine, and one.
Okay, right then. So, can you hear me properly on there as well?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Am I laggy?
Well, you're like a second laggy.
Okay, that's alright then. So, this is going to be an interesting one. Right, okay, so, for definitely the first time, and not at all but what, 12th? Restart of this episode. Hello, and welcome to Proof of Concept. The show where we have absolutely no audio problems at all. Today we've got me, Alex, in the top left. I haven't said this 3 times already. Dalen, you go next.
I'm Dalen, the person who's speaking right now. I don't know what's going on, but my picture's in the middle of the screen.
We're very blatantly ripping off. Well, there's your problem now. It's fine. Tyler, you go next.
Yeah, I'm Tyler. At least that's what they tell me. I'm on the right side of the screen. Can I go home now?
I love how Tyler's open with 3 completely different jokes every time. Like, me and Dalen have just verbatim repeated ourselves, where Tyler's giving me alternate takes for me to go from. Anyway, Abby, you're sideways, and you're also using my microphone because you sat next to me. Say hello.
Hi.
Abby was very last minute, so Abby hasn't got a concept. Abby is the judge for this episode.
I am. I'm also judging how good my hair looked that day. I had a really great hair day.
It is a good hair day. Very Joan Jett vibes.
I know. I've dyed it blonde since then.
It's not blonde. You still got black hair, man. It's blonde. I'm more blonde than you. Anyway, the subject of this week and the thing that you're judging, we're on about the Speedyboi Supreme, as Dalen called it. Dalen, would you like to explain what the Speedyboi Supreme actually means?
We're doing concept race car, track car things, and I don't know why we're using this name. I just said something stupid, and then now we're here.
Yeah,
So-
well, I giggled, and therefore you doomed us all, so it's in there
It
now.
wasn't even that. I just couldn't be asked to find out what it was meant to be, which meant I'd have to go out the bedroom, go downstairs, ask you a question.
That would
come
mean that
back.
in this heatwave weather heat, you'd have to put on trousers.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
And
understand.
a top and a bra.
Yeah,
I'm not doing it.
I have spent so much of this, like, last weekend. I think last weekend I was at Abby's flat, and I genuinely lay completely naked on the kitchen floor on the tiles. It was that hot, I was dying. But anyway, so on with this week's episode. But before we start, I want to talk about some concept news, because Hyundai's been busy this week with the Envision 74, and I want this so drastically badly. Have either of you seen this, by the way?
I've
I've
seen
scrolled
some
past some
details of it.
pictures.
Yeah,
It
this
just
was-
made me think of Cyberpunk, and then I remembered how disappointed I was.
Yes, but this doesn't look disappointing. This looks very, very cool.
No, but it makes me think of Cyberpunk, and I'm still really disappointed about that.
Well,
I still never got to play that game.
I still haven't either.
You know,
because
I could
my-
argue the same thing, because I don't think it's actually playable. I've almost finished the game a few times. It corrupts every time.
Don't they have an old
It's
Porsche,
garbage.
like an old Porsche 911, 930 generation, but made cyberpunk
Yes.
for John Wick's character? Not John Wick. What's his actual name?
Ken Reeves.
Keanu Reeves. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway.
When you get to close to the end of the game, you get that car.
But I just want to say that this thing looks absolutely stunning, and what I'm very happy about with this is that it's hydrogen powered.
Okay, I'm down with hydrogen power.
Yeah, it's hydrogen fuel cell, I believe. Apparently,
Yeah.
Hyundai already have hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, which is great. I'm glad that someone other than Toyota is actually giving it a go at that.
Honda was selling them here in the U.S. for a while in California.
Yeah, they started one, didn't they?
Yeah,
Back
they
in
was too.
like the mid 2000s, and they went,
Nope.
nah, no one bought it.
They've been doing this since the
They're still
60s
doing
and
it?
70s.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the only one on sale here is the Toyota Mirai. That's literally all you can buy in the UK. If I'm wrong, someone please correct me. Apart from apparently this Hyundai thing. In fairness, I think there are genuinely 18 hydrogen fuel stations in the whole of the UK.
The only thing I know about it is that there was one Luton-based company that had invested in it or looked into it in the 60s and the 70s.
I think hydrogen actually is kind of the future, because you can retrofit ICE engines to run on hydrogen. In fact, if you look, Toyota at the moment have a GR Yaris concept. Same engine as the stock one, but slightly altered to run on hydrogen, and it's more powerful now. And burns completely clean.
Yeah, I mean it's like no different than doing like a propane conversion in the end of the day.
It's fantastic, and the fact that we're getting concept cars that look this good around that technology.
I'm still in for this. This makes noises. This does things. This does all the things I want a car to do.
This is still effectively EV, but obviously you're generating the electricity on the car.
Oh, I was hoping it was like hydrogen actual drive stuff, because that stuff interests me.
From what I've heard, it's going to be like rear-wheel drive, because if you notice here, it's doing a drift, so it's designed to be like actually a fun sports car. Because this is the problem I think we've had so far. Apart from like the Taycan, yes, alright, your EV can go fast in a straight line. That's all it can do. No one cares. I want to see something.
It can also sink cargo ships with lots of really cool cars on it.
Yeah, and catch fire. Also, I've had a big. So there's a Tesla boy online at the moment. So after spinning our big rant about tech, about BMW that evolved into us slagging off Tesla fans. Tesla fans again, being rather stupid on TikTok. Somebody said, so I didn't realize the gear selector for Tesla is on the screen. Like, you've got backup buttons, but it's on the screen. And someone was like,
so you're telling me when Kyle pounds a few too many monsters and punches the screen, his car is stuck in park?
Yeah. I mean, you've got the backup buttons, but like, stop putting everything through a fucking screen. Oh, it angers me. But his argument was, oh, well, what happens when your gear linkage pops off? And I'm like, well, you know what? I think a screen crashes a lot more.
You get up under there and you put it back on.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what? My Alpha,
I have done this before.
Yeah, the Alpha gear selector popped off. I repaired it with condoms and zip ties, and it worked. Can't do
I was going to say, everything I have is a manual except for my...
Come off.
You just stick it back in.
I just used to bang it back in.
That's all you got to do.
Just aggressive banging, all good.
Tesla fanboys, just take constructive
criticism
owned the
and actually Saturn.
Go, there's problems, maybe fix them.
The shifter cables on the Saturn notoriously just like to pop the hell off, and so all you do is you take it, you pop it back in the hole, and you go. You go back there.
That's all you got to do. But yeah, Hyundai, they've built this, and it looks absolutely... I got to say, Hyundai are kind of knocking it out of the park, because they had this... a couple months ago, they had the Grandeur. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Picture an 80s Toyota Century, but with these kind of like digital LED headlight things on the front. Looks stunning. Hyundai are just making awesome. Because the thing is, with EVs, because you've got no engine and all that to stiff it in, you've got a lot more freedom in terms of design. Because you've got no drivetrain to like conceal into there. You've got basically an electric skateboard and anything you can build on top. So what we've done so far with that is just, oh, this is my Tesla. It looks like a Vauxhall Insignia. It's very boring. It looks ugly. And then we've got the Model 3, which looks like the Insignia but stretched upwards, like you've copy and pasted it wrong. What I'm liking is the likes of Hyundai and Renault as well, and Opel actually, taking that concept and going, well, we can design something really pretty on top, and let's do that. And that's what they've done here. And oh, it's gorgeous.
How about one of the next episodes we do EV concepts that will probably never ever be a thing, because I'm guessing like 90% of these companies are going to fold up as soon as they stop getting money coming in. But
Yes.
things that don't look like an appliance.
Yes, I'm absolutely down for that. We've got so many episodes planned. We've got the
There's
train
one
episode.
EV truck that I have put a reservation for that I doubt will ever come to market, but
The
if it
Alpha
does, it looks
Centauri?
awesome. No.
That company's really cool. They got one. They got
It's the Wolf from them. It's one of their other It's one of their
Is
trucks.
it the one that looks like an
My
old
brain
child?
immediately went to Filthy Frank.
It,
Fuck Alpha. Fuck Alpha.
I don't know. It looks like a truck that you'd see in Cyberpunk, and I loved it.
I think another one. To me, it looks like the truck from Back to the Future. But
Kinda, yeah.
yeah,
But-
that's gorgeous. That company alone, you could do great things with.
It was $100 to put you could for free or $100, and I put a $100 reservation down on one. So if they ever go into production, I am buying one.
I'm surprised to hear you of all people putting money down on an EV. But
Have you seen it?
it does look gorgeous. I would have one.
I've got a question.
Maybe that'll make up for me
you.
daily driving a two-stroke.
We've got a question for the room.
How did Dalen and Tyler say Hyundai?
How do you guys say Hyundai?
And
Hyundai.
And they're wrong because they're Americans. So
It's Hyundai.
Huh?
Hyundai.
because they leave you high and dry.
I said Hyundai, didn't I?
Oh, I don't know. Problem is, again, because, right, Dalen's
Oh,
connection
it's-
pops out a lot. So, you guys are going to be able to hear Dalen probably quite alright because he's recording his end locally. Because we're actually trying to, like, do a proper attempt at making this work this week. Very unlike us. But, you know. So you can probably hear Dalen fine. You might hear me and Abby a bit thingy because we're using the exact same microphone on my headset. It's a very complex setup. We're both sat half naked by my door just to kind of get some Wi-Fi and some breeze. But yeah, I can not hear Dalen half the time. So sometimes when we do these and I don't respond to Dalen properly, it's not because I don't like him. It's because I just have no connection. And also I don't like him. So do you guys want to start with the concepts for this week?
Yeah, sure.
Right, who is up first? We've got it's Tyler. So Tyler, what am I looking at here?
Depending on which articles I got information from, 2010 or 2011, C6 Z06X.
Okay, now this is
So,
the Z06 for racing, I'm assuming.
think of it like a 911 GT3,
Okay.
but better. So, this is still using an LS7, so 505 horse, naturally aspirated, 427 cubic inch LS. I love that engine. One of the best engines. Well, it had some issues. If you fix the small problems with the valve train just self-deleting itself, it's a great engine. Loved it. But it's using the aluminum Z06 chassis. Some of the Z06 had steel chassis, some had aluminum. This is the aluminum chassis. It has the Z07 package on it for handling, which gave it...
Aluminium is,
Yeah.
is... Right. I'm going to settle this debate once and for all. The British discoverer of aluminium called it aluminum, and it was printed in the States as aluminum, and then British scholars went, no, it doesn't sound like lithium and all of that. You're going to make it EM. And then they made it aluminium in the UK. It's aluminum, really, and I will allow the Americans that one small victory. I'm sorry, that's just fair.
Anyway,
Ah!
You've ruined everything.
Oh, my
So-
fat belly just hung over the mouse there.
So, it's got the Z07 package, and the one thing that I wish the Z06 had as an option. So the C6 Z06 never got the carbon ceramic brakes. That was ZR1 only for the C6. This got the carbon ceramics on it. So on top of that,
There were a few Z06s with carbon ceramic brakes, but they're like stupid rare. I think there
Yeah,
was like, it's like a
I've
couple hundred
never
cars.
actually seen one in person. I don't even think I think I've seen online one of the 427 convertibles with it, but that's it. But when we're on the subject of carbon, it's got a carbon splitter, rockers, roof panel, B-pillar, wing, headlight buckets, and a polycarbonate rear window.
Ooh.
So
very light.
we've pulled a bunch of... Yeah, there's also no sound deadening in the car, which the one picture there, I clearly see a radio in that car, but from the articles it said it doesn't have one, so I don't know if that's just the faceplate there with nothing behind it.
I mean, sometimes I know they leave the actual head unit in, but take everything else out.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what is behind it right now, but all the articles are saying it doesn't have a radio to it, which to me that's a negative because I would drive that on the street if it had a VIN number still.
Built from a streetcar then?
Yeah, well, it is a Z06 to start with.
Okay.
They've just so Pratt and Miller built this car, and if it was going to go to production, Pratt and Miller would have continued to be building them. Pratt and Miller is who does the Corvette Rs. So the roll cage was built for an SCCA spec, as well as the window nets that are in it. The racing seat and harnesses all meet a spec class for that. I don't know which one. It's SCCA. No one really cares. But it's got a fire suppression system, 5-point harnesses. They put a lower restriction intake on there, which I'm not exactly sure how you do that, because if you've ever seen the Z06 stock intake, basically a straight tube off of the throttle body that funnels up to be a little bit wider, and then the filter snaps on the end of it, and the air gets sucked straight through the end of the filter.
They just take all the
So
intake off. It's just a straight throttle body. That's it.
I don't even know, because it you can actually support quite a bit of power with the stock one with a decent element in it. You don't really need to, but the tube can flow better if you take some of the restriction out of it. Anyway, but it's got that, a bigger radiator, lightweight set of wheels, 19s up front and 20s in the rear, wrapped with a set of Michelins.
Do we know how much this weighs overall?
I wasn't able to find it, but it's also got a set of adjustable coilovers and sway bars by Fought Race Engineering, built specifically for this car. So, yeah, I don't know why they didn't build that. I would have bought one.
They would have had to have built homologation if it's GT3, wouldn't they?
Well, it's built to compete with the 911 GT3.
So that has to have homologation. That's why we have the GT3 to begin with. So
yeah.
Actually, they don't anymore, do they? Because the GT3 is just a nameplate now. Anyway, sorry,
I believe so.
Yeah, originally we had to be homologation, but
either way, I'm guessing that there is some obscure class in SCCA where you buy showroom race car like this, and that's what it competes in.
That's very.
I don't know. Too many boomers, but I love it. To this day, the C6 Z06 is, in my opinion, the best car I've ever drove. I love it. I would buy another one in a heartbeat, and that just makes it better.
Well, the funny thing is, Abby's neighbor has a C6. I think a Z06 as well. I might not be, but it's just parked in a car park surrounded by ancient C classes and a Peugeot 206cc, which is one of the funniest things in the world because American cars do not fit over here. But the thing I liked about the thing I've always liked about the Corvette is they're actually small. You I can't speak. I've lost the ability.
Well, even as a daily driver, it gets good gas mileage, surprisingly. When I had that, I was able to get upper 20s, low 30s on the interstate with a 660 wheel horse 427.
For all viewers, that is American MPG, which translates to UK MPG. That translates to, for God's sake, when I Google how much it is, just tell me, don't put me onto a calculator. It translates to, Jesus, about 37 miles to the gallon. UK.
Oh.
That's
28 to 30 mpg doing 70 miles an hour down the interstate. Just it was basically off idle at that point. But there's a decent amount of room for how small it is for two people. And when you open the back hatch, that thing has a massive trunk. You can fit a diesel truck transmission, pickup truck transmission, in the back of there. I have picked up a 47 RH to rebuild for a customer and delivered it back in the back of that car.
I have a huge love of Corvettes. If I ever moved to the States, I'm having a cheap Corvette, probably a C4, because I'm
cheap C4s are a lot of fun. I've done that a few times. They're a riot.
But I'm surprised they never actually built it. And again, there is a Z06 GT3 car, isn't there, already?
Well, the Corvette Rs are weird. The engines are, I think, at least up to the 5 and the 6s were a 5.5 liter based engine.
C5Rs were 7 liters. The C5Rs were LS7Rs. They were 4.7 still.
Oh, so the 6R was when they started the 5.5, and that carried over into the 7.
Yeah, and then
I don't know what the 8's have in them right now.
I think the 8's flat plane crank something. So I think it's the overhead cam motor in the C8R.
I like that a lot. Abby, you're the judge. What score are you giving this out of 10?
I'm deducting 0.5 based on the fact it's got Michelin tires.
I hate Michelin tires, but for a whole nother reason. I went to the F1 GP in Indy when Michelin destroyed a race.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah. God, Joe, one of my favorite things on a very, 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 very mildly related note. So F1 Silverstone happened a few weeks back, and people were just stealing everything they could from the track. Like, people were leaving with flags, people were leaving with advertising boards from the side of the track, people were, like, nicking bits of Armco. If it wasn't nailed down, they were taking it, and if it was nailed down and they could pry it off easily, they were taking it. The whole of Silverstone got ransacked, and I think that's one of the funniest things to come out of F1 this year. But yeah.
Have they fixed the problem with those things just like violently porpoising down the track?
What now? The F1?
When they start, where they're bouncing down the track and bottoming out continuously.
No, that's just part of F1. I don't even watch F1 because it's 8 hours of cars around a track with like 4 overtakes.
Well, my best friend's currently sectioned because she got to the end of the F1 and thought that was it. So, yeah.
That means put into mental hospital, because I know sectioning I don't think is a thing in America. Or at least not in that terminology. For spicy self-unaliving thoughts.
Grippy sock prison.
Yes, grippy sock prison. But yeah, that...
No F1 for me, thanks.
Yeah, I'm gonna... actually, no, I think you're the judge, so you have to give the final judgment on this. So, out of 10...
7.5.
7.5?
Would have been an 8 if it weren't Michelin's.
So there we go. Just because you didn't use Abby's namesake, you lost 5.5 there, GM. I think it's really cool. I'm surprised they didn't make it, because I know, Chevy, especially with the Corvettes, is very fond of racing.
Well, when you think about it, like I said, most of these parts, like the entire suspension was made by Fott. So that's a kit you order. Like if you sent a Z06 to Pratt & Miller and just maybe did it with no interior, let them build the cage real quick, slap the seat in it. All those carbon pieces are parts that bolt onto the Corvette. All those body panels come off. They just screw onto that car. None of them are like a weld-on panel or anything like that, obviously. So you send it with the body panels missing, you hang the carbon, you change a few pieces over. This could have really easily been put into production through Pratt & Miller and then sold at dealers.
The other thing because the thing, I mean, you look at the GT3 sold out so quickly they had to keep going until the tooling broke, the Porsche GT3. And then you've got, you look at every Corvette owner ever is always going, well, actually, mine's one of one because it was the one built with this particular valve cap on the valves on the June the 13th.
Yes, if there is ever a limited edition Corvette, it is sold out before anybody knows that it's a thing.
So it's not like they would have struggled to sell, homologation specials. And it's GM, so it's not like they haven't got the money to do that. I wonder why they never did. I don't
know.
Was it actually aimed properly at a particular race then, or?
I think that would have been best suited from looking at. Similar prepped C6 vets were in like SCCA GT2, and also that would have done well in like Grid Life Track Mod as well, I believe. So.
I just feel like it would have been very popular in Europe. You think like retired dads? They've been all over that.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I don't think it's really pushing towards a lot of the Corvette market. I mean, yes, there are Corvette people that are going to buy it for limited edition Corvette, but I do think that you would see crossover into the market of people who are looking at things at the time like this: a GT3, Viper, ACR.
I mean,
like
the
fast track toy that you're not really ever going to do anything else with, but have trailered to your track days. I do think this would have done really well, because that big naturally aspirated V8 will just go lap after lap with the oversized cooling system. Yeah. It's not going to heat soak like a turbo or a blower car. It makes great power. It revs to like 7,000 RPM on the LS7. The transmission is in the back, so it's got really good.
Going to be
it's got great weight distribution. Which, being a late Z06 too, that has got a TR6060 in it, not the T56 like the early cars.
I'm guessing that would have had the ZR1 gear set with like the shorter overdrive.
Yeah, that's what I assume would be in it. I've never had a TR6060 one. Mine was a 56 car, but I would really like to have the TR6060 ones. They do drive nicer.
Are you guys ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah, sure.
Well, up next we have Dalen. Dalen, what are we looking at here?
This is the 2006 Mustang FR500 GT.
And it looks
wait a second. That doesn't have a belt-driven intake manifold anymore.
Nope.
What is the scoop?
But it makes the same power as the one that did. But it makes the same thing.
I don't doubt that, but...
So, this is S197 Mustang. They had the FR500... C and S were turnkey race cars. sold through Ford Performance. The 500S was 4.6, 320 horsepower motor, used a lot in various road race classes in the U.S. There was the 500C, which was homologated for the Grand Am Grand Sport class, and later was also homologated for FIA GT4 regulations. Well, they wanted more. So this is the FR500 GT. Most obvious change you can tell looking at it is it's got the front bumper cover off of the then new GT500. The 420 horsepower 5-liter, the R50 they used in the FR500C has been replaced by the motor out of a Daytona prototype. So it's a 550 horsepower 5-liter dual overhead cam. I believe individual throttle body.
So is that looks like it's a mod-based motor? Is that the 5-liter mod motor that they used in Australia?
I think it's based off the 4.6 4-valve, but it's Roush Yates built.
Ooh, okay,
Yeah,
I'm in.
Yeah, it's full race car motor. The 500C used a the 500. Yeah, the 500C used the T56 Magnum. This has a 6-speed Hollinger sequential. So it's full mechanical sequential trans, and I think they got bigger brakes, full cage in it. It's basically pretty close to being a GT3 car. In fact, later they did go ahead and widen it, make a few other changes, and made it GT3 legal. Because what they tried to do with this one was it didn't really fit anywhere in this form, so they tried to sell a spec class for it.
So did they literally just build a race car like as a project and went, oh, we didn't check where we could put this.
This wasn't supposed to be a fun project. This was an idea of we can sell these for $300,000 a pop.
Oh, so what's the idea that they build a race car and hopefully someone comes and buys it?
Yes, and actually the 500C GT, the GT3 version, those were sold and raced in decent numbers. If you look up, they actually, like 2 or 3 seasons of, and 2 or 3 classes, you see the 500C GT3s pop up. But yeah, this was their attempt at that. And
would it have been competitive in GT? Well, is it competitive in GT3? I guess because they've obviously at the moment.
I'm not familiar with the results of what they did. I do know that I think this was actually right before I started caring about GT3 existing as a thing. But these did pop up. And let me see.
I like it.
It does look absolutely sick, doesn't it? Apart from the spoiler, that is a very ugly spoiler. But generally, like actual effective spoilers on race cars do look terrible. So
you could eat your dinner.
I think the back is still too high for me. Give it a little more fender flare and bring the back down some.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
That's actually exactly what they did on the GT3 cars. The GT3's got a wide body.
I've got to ask, what is
the rear suspension in this?
That is still a 3-link solid axle. Yeah, I believe 8.8 based, but it's a full float axle. AP Racing giant brakes under 18-inch wheels. Pirelli slicks.
Alex, your question. That is off the back of the radiator, and if you notice, the hood is cut down.
Yeah.
So that is your airflow through the radiator, then up over the roof of the car.
Okay.
That is not like an airbox. That's just the extractor out of the radiator.
So how do you cool the engine then? It was you just use the radiator purely for engine cooling. You don't actually cool it.
Okay. It's the same as normal. It's just they have it set up to where the air goes. There's ducting basically in front of and behind the radiator. What they probably have done here is that lower intake probably has ducting closing it off, and then air is forced through the radiator, then out the ducting there, and then through the hood, and then up over the car.
So when you think about it normally, when the air comes into your engine bay, it comes in, it's going to hit stuff, and it can't go up. It can only go down. So at speed, that can start generating some lift. So if you're taking this and you're shoving it straight through that cooling pack up and over the car, that is all going to go over the rear of the car and create downforce.
Okay, I always assumed you have airflow to come in and obviously take a bit of heat off the engine as well. I didn't realize that's... it makes sense.
You're going to get some of that, but you can do the same thing by putting extractors on the hood so it'll suck air up from under the car.
So what you're saying is on my Alpha, when I removed some of the shielding from the front so the grills were all 100% airflow, I made my car slower.
Yeah.
Very possibly.
Yeah, it depends on. There's a few things there.
This is why when my dad met you, he said he's definitely not a mechanic.
I try my best.
We know.
So
We're aware. It's okay.
when you look at like NASCAR, it's a horrible example for this, but you'll see them tape off the front of the car a lot to try to make the car cut through the air smoother. Those things will run 300-degree coolant temps. They have really high pressure cooling systems, so they can use just the tiniest amount of air they can through there.
Oh.
To try to make the car cut through the air.
As I know if you're trying to do like a top speed run, you kind of tape things off for more dynamics. In fact, one of the funniest things I've ever seen, when we went up to Scotland, because the Rover Paran was driving was sucking down fuel, because obviously that like auto box was terrible. We just taped all his bonnet and everything off just to try and make it more dynamic. And it actually did make a difference according to Paran. How much of a difference I don't know, but apparently like we taped up every gap on the car.
That will do it.
It did take a fair bit of the paint off. But it was a £500 car that was in the field, so. But yeah, I like this. This is... I can't help but think about the remake of Knight Rider now. Every time I'm looking at a Shelby Cobra from this age. Not helped by Dalen, who also for some reason watched that show and enjoys it and still watches it occasionally these days.
I haven't watched it in a while, but yeah, this is my favorite body style Mustang. Like, I love, like, especially with the GT500 nose, I love the early S197. And turns out the chassis was actually pretty good, too. They just put terrible engines in them. Well, this fixes that problem with race motor.
My mother, for the longest time, wanted this generation Mustang as a Roush to import over. Still does. She wants the new Mustang as well, but she prefers this one because it's still right-hand drive and therefore is a bit more cool.
Yeah, this is
left-hand drive, not right-hand drive.
This is like 8,500 RPM cross. This isn't the flat plane like the new Voodoo motor. This is old cross plane motor, but it would still do 8,500 RPM if you wanted it to.
Oh, that's not a bad number at all.
See, I'm very biased towards this age of Mustang. So.
I mean, look, your ex-boyfriend immediately. So I'm gonna have to damn rate this automatically. As your current partner, I have to say, oh no, because it's your ex, I have to be bitter and jealous and downrate it.
It's a good thing your vote doesn't matter.
Okay, I lied. It's only 7,200 RPM red line, but still.
Look at this.
See?
All of the free tattoos that I got.
You know what? I'm gonna have to find a car that I've had sex with, and therefore I can get points. That hasn't happened yet. So.
The ugly wing had.
Wait, they did their cars we had sex in episode.
Oh god.
Oh no, because think about Paul Paran.
Insignia, Fiat 500 and a bath. Mercedes.
Mine is Alfa Romeo 147, and that's it. That's where my list ends.
Import.
There are some odd vehicles on my list. We should do that episode. You gotta just pick one. Just pick the weirdest one.
That's one of our. That's because right, we're having a few of these episodes coming up where we're all gonna get now bear in mind, I don't drink at all, so that's gonna be interesting. We're all gonna get absolutely sloshed, and do episodes, a couple of them, just for the fun of it, and that'll have to be one of them, I think.
Yeah.
So, Abby. What are we rating the Sex Cobra?
Is that what we're calling it now?
What is the Sex Cobra?
That's better than the actual nickname they gave it. I intentionally didn't mention it until now because it's...
Solid 10.
Hang on. What's the official nickname?
The FR500C was called the Boy Racer. So this was the bigger version of that, so they called it the Man Racer.
That's a grinder subsection. Oh god! That you go into a club and you go, oh hi. That's like they're a really crap cocktail. You know, I want the Man Racer, and it's like absinthe.
Can we get you the Man Racer T-shirt or hat? I'm making those. I'm calling Dan after this episode.
What's your official rating for the Man Racer Sex Cobra 69? If you call it 10, I'm gonna shoot myself.
There's only 3 of us. I'm getting a podium this week. I could care less.
I'm giving it plus points for the Pirellis.
But they're not good years.
No, but I like Pirellis.
Have I got? No, I've got Falcons on my car.
Yeah, that's minus.
Well,
I'm gonna have to go back up and add everyone's finishing position and create averages for the season.
Right. 9.5.
A 9.5. Jesus. All right.
I really like it.
I've got really hard boots to fill then.
Yeah, you do. I do really like this.
Well, I'm gonna have to try and win you back because I know that you love Italian cars.
No, I love Italian men.
Welsh, Italian, what's the difference?
Yeah,
Sidoli's ice cream, am I right, fellas?
you're definitely settling a lot there, going from hoping for Italian and ending up in Welsh.
Hey, that's not settling. I'm not having that. Dalen, you're the only person I've ever legally married, technically. Thank you, Tyler, for that one. I'm not having you slagging off my country or my countrymen. What's that about?
Have you guys seen your introduction to cars or culinary or?
Hey, Welsh cakes are fantastic and Gilbans are great.
What even is a Welsh cake? I don't know what a Welsh cake is.
A Welsh cake, right? Imagine
I'll send him the recipe. He can make them.
Yeah,
you can add weed to them really easily.
Don't encourage the drugs on this episode.
Oh, okay.
That's against the law. That's against the law.
Dandelion.
Oh, thanks for reminding. I forgot to do this thing.
This is what happens when we don't have Paran on for 2 episodes. It all turns. By the way, we will have Paran back. Anyone listening? He's currently down in Canterbury recording his own podcast.
Which won't be as successful.
I still think you lost a bet.
Oh, don't be mean. I don't think we've lost it. We'll have him back. I don't want to lose Paran. Paran's a good fella. He doesn't. I was gonna say he doesn't mock me, but let's be honest, he does it. He does it worse than everyone else. Oh, anyway, so you like Italian cars, yes?
Yes.
And Italian men as well.
I love a bit of Italian sausage.
Oh, for God's sake! Oh, I'm just taking numerous L's today. This is. Are you also a fan of the rally?
I am.
Do you by any chance like the Group B era of rallying?
I do.
Well then, let me introduce you to the Alpha Sud 6C Sprint.
Ooh!
Now, for all the viewers listening, Group B was a period in the 80s where the FIA went, hey, you know that rally thing? What if we made it more dangerous? And they had Group B, which is basically completely unrestricted warfare when it comes to, rally regulations. So, early days, it was sort of slightly spicy versions of the regular cars that they already had rallying. And then by the end of it, it was like, hey, we've got this twin-charged Lancia making something like 700 horsepower. It's crashed into this tree and burnt to a crisp in 30 seconds. But this here is the Alpha Sud 6C, and this was... Sorry, the Alpha Sud Sprint 6C. And this was Alpha's attempts at the early days stuff. So, what you're looking at here is the Alpha Sud, which is originally a front-wheel drive, front-engined hatchback. And what they've done is they've taken the wonderful Busso engine out of the Alpha GT V6 race car. They've stuck the transaxle longitudinally on it, and they've just stuck it in the back of the car. Now, bear in mind, this car is tiny. This car is... Let me get the figures for you. This is just over 4 meters long. This is a tiny, tiny car. So most of that length is engine now. So they're taking the rear seats out. A bit like... do you guys know what the Renault 5 is like? The Renault 5 Turbo?
Mm.
Yeah.
Very similar idea to that. And that is what they went with for the rally concept. So this was aimed to compete in 1983. Now, bear in mind, I think Group B started in 1981 or 1982. So again, this is the early days period where basically you're taking the regular rally car and you're putting, a bit more power into it. Because that's like the first thing you could think to do. And you're making it slightly lighter. This thing, they went very, very light with. So this only weighs 990 kilos altogether. So this isn't even a metric ton. And they've managed to put the 2.5 litre V6, again, out of that GT V6 touring car in the back of it. This was only a placeholder, because the idea was... So the way Group B restrictions work is that you had to have certain weight limits for certain displacements. So this one, they were going to bore out the engine slightly to... So this was originally 2498, I think. Yeah, 2480 cc. They were going to bore this out to 2503 cc, so they could basically just about scrape into the 2.5 to 2999 cc category, which meant their minimum weight was only 260 kilograms they had to meet. So this thing would have been incredibly competitive. Bear in mind, this would be going up against the Audi Quattro, which at the time only made 197 horsepower. This made 220 straight off the bat. And by the way, that was a production, that was a pre-existing engine. This was like a test bed. The actual rally car would have made closer to 240 to 300 horsepower.
But, big but here, buddy. Nothing sounds better than that 5-cylinder.
I disagree. Have you heard of a Busso at full chat?
I don't care. A 5-cylinder sounds great.
I will.
It's a poor man's V10. Shut up.
Well, the thing, this might actually turn. The Quattro didn't do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to. It's kind of just like... Imagine flying on a warhead just strap onto it, and then, I don't know, stick a piece of plywood off the side to turn. That's all that is. It's great. It's really fast, and you kind of just point and hope.
But this would have been even faster, because this was much, much lighter, by the way. Much lighter. This was about 300 kilos lighter, and it was more powerful. And, by the way, this was naturally aspirated, whereas the Audi obviously had to be turbocharged. So it's already this would have been very competitive, at least in the early days. It would have been outpaced a lot by the end, because obviously by the end of Group B, everything had supercharging, it had twin charging in some cases. I mean, look at a lot of the Lancias toward the end, they were all twin charged. This thing would have been an absolute little pocket rocket. And actually, this kind of went a long way, because by the end of Group B as well, a lot of them became mid-engined. You obviously had the Peugeot TI-16, that was mid-engined. Peugeot 206, very similar concept to what this is. They did the same thing with the Lancia Delta S4. Everything basically became mid-engined toward the end of Group B, including the Audi Quattro nearly, because they made a mid-engine concept of that, and then obviously Group B got canned because everyone kept dying. Yeah, a lot of deaths. Yeah, my favorite.
How selfish of them.
The one I thought was mad. They had to have therapists on for the crews who like to work on these. One of the times, like the rally cars, like a lot of the times the cars are coming back with like fingers in the body panels, hair, skin, things like that. People would get that close to touching the cars. I mean, Group B was always going to be a recipe for disaster, but like they would actually be dismembered fingers, blood, all sorts on the cars at the end of them, and like the crews were getting properly like a bit freaked out by that, understandably.
PTSD from your car.
Oh, quickly gotta change a spark plug. Oh, let me just move this dismembered finger. But yeah, this thing would have been pretty awesome, I think. They actually, so the body, you'll notice they've made it wider. So with some box flares. I don't know if you guys know what the original Alpha Sud looks like, but they have made it wider with some, polyester wide body here. They've made the.
So if you rubbed up against it a bit, you'd get static hair.
Yes. Ooh. You could stick, if you rubbed it on your hair. If you rubbed your hair on it enough, you could stick it to a door frame. So it was almost as light as a balloon.
You could stick it to a balloon.
Yeah, they removed the rear window, you'll notice, and put some louvers in to vent the heat from the mid-mounted V6. They also changed all the suspension out. So this now has... I've actually got I'll read the stats list out to you here. It's got an all-alloy black block and head. It's got Bosch Jetronic fuel injection. Vented discs front and rear. It's just over 4 meters long. The wheelbase is 2.455 meters. The front wheels are 205 50 VR15s, and the rears are 255 50 RV15s. So, fair bit of sidewall. I love the wheels, by the way. Very Italian looking things. They don't look like they belong on a rally car at all, but this looks like the most Italian.
They look like they'd hit a rock.
And bend.
Or a child. And bend. Or the family dog that you've just taken to the rally.
Yeah, that happened. Things just kept dying on Group B. The suspension... so it's all four corners are independent double wishbone hydraulic coilovers, and the back, for some reason, I'm assuming you guys can fill me in for this, is double coilovers each side. So I'm assuming that's to handle the extra weight of the engine.
I don't know why they would. I've never really messed with rally suspension. I'm assuming they want more weight, but while keeping a softer spring set.
Yeah, I guess because obviously you're doing lots of leaps, so it makes sense not to have super harsh suspension.
Yeah.
Also,
So if you want it to be soft enough but still carry the weight, doubling them up will help with that.
Notice
That would be why I'd assume they do it.
on the back of the car, when aerodynamic stuff doesn't matter because it's facing away from the wind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not on
Louvers are cool. We put the louvers on because louvers are cool.
Oh, I see. Are you giving a callback to me not understanding the Mustang?
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm being murked off.
They've not taken out the front grille and just hope for the best.
There is a photo. I didn't include it, but there is actually a photo. They kept the front grille open. There's no radiator there either. I'm fairly sure. It's just an empty engine bay because they just took the regular car.
Well, I see heat exchangers on the corners there.
Drive
It looks like
keep them cold.
But I'm gonna guess those aren't the radiator. I'm gonna guess the radiator is still in the front of the car where it's gonna get airflow.
Yeah, the nose of the car is still usually the best place for radiator.
But it is just an empty engine bay there
Those on the side
If
are
you hit
probably
a
gonna be
child, they
your
have
oil
somewhere to
cooler
go.
and like a transmission cooler.
Remind me, where is the radiator on your MR2?
I actually don't have a radiator. I did the delete.
That sounds like something you would attempt.
Hey!
That explains
I'm
a lot.
personally
I'll hop
insulted.
on Amazon after this, and I'll send you another set of saw blades. I want to see this
On the
happen.
subject of the MR2, while you were waffling on about, Italian bits, I found out your MR2 was first brought into this country a mile away from where I was born.
Actually?
Yep.
Huh.
It was a mile down the road from where I was born.
Did you by any chance look at the number plate so I got hung up there to see
Yeah,
where
I
it was
did.
originally? Yeah,
I was
understandable.
like, KG03.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, this thing I thought would have absolutely ripped, right? And it would have, especially in the early days, been very competitive. But for whatever reason, and by the way, Alpha never ever said why. They still haven't to this day. They just pulled the plug and then never mentioned it again. But nope.
Well, they probably ran out of drugs or money.
Well, the thing is,
Definitely both.
the concept, the actual theory is that they ran out. They wouldn't have had the money to make the 200 homologation specials. Which, by the way, I would love a homologation special. One of these, just a road car version. Which they reckon the road version would have made about 160 horsepower. Which
We had to make a really tough decision between making race car and the break room cocaine budget, and we couldn't let go of the break room cocaine.
It's Italians in the 80s. It would have been red wine,
Yeah.
sausage, and women.
they wouldn't need cocaine in Italy. That's just red wine, sausage, and women.
God, you guys are easy to win over.
The Italians are easy to win over.
They're very easy to push over.
All it took for you guys to win us, or for us to win you over, were concrete boats.
Okay, I'm going to have to ask you what that means at the end of this, because that's clearly a wartime reference that I don't understand. Anyway,
Concrete doesn't float.
I will say, right, you know how I said I hope there was a road version of one of these, and I wish I could have had one? There actually were. So I found out when I was researching this, but I didn't know what this existed until a couple of days ago, as I started recording this. In Australia, of all places, in 1986, when Group B... Because Group B went away in 86, didn't it? Or was it 87? It was 86, I think it got cancelled, and then... No, it got stopped in 86, and then cancelled properly in 87, I think. Anyway, an Australian company called Giocattolo Motori purchased a few, regular Sprints to convert them into these. They made 3 of them with the original Busso V6 engine, and went, it's really expensive to import these. That's not. Let's just use a Holden 5-litre V8 and stuff that in the back instead. So you could, and you still can. There are 18 of them in existence. You can get one of these with a Holden 5-litre V8, which...
Hang on. You say Holden 5-liter V8 like it's something to triumph. I hear that, and I think 305 Chevy, and I kind of want to vomit.
But imagine a Holden... So you've got a V8 that you don't like, in an Italian body, which probably won't work, converted by Australians on a shoestring budget.
Nothing can go wrong with this.
Yeah, that's an amazing idea.
I think that's a Holden Red Block, which it's a 305 by Australian.
I think that's mad.
So
Bear in mind, again,
was the Holden... Was it on its own architecture at that point, like the BOP stuff was?
Yes.
It was only... By the way,
The Holden V8 was a thing up until the 90s.
If anyone wants to Google that, it's the Giocattolo Motori Group B, it got called.
I think you're saying that wrong.
You're gonna have to put that in the chat so I can.
Giocatolo Motori.
There you go.
It is a mouthful. I will put that in the chat now.
You love a mouthful.
Welcome to the Proof of Concept podcast, where I bring my girlfriend on and I regret it every 10 minutes.
No, I'm just walking innuendo.
But as Tyler, who doesn't like this, is not the judge, what do you think of this, Abby?
I like it.
Oh no, there's a like it. I sense a butt coming.
You always do.
Oh, for God's sake.
I like it. I like the concept ideas. I like the era that it's from. It's from the spicy times. But is it better than a Mustang?
Yes, it's Italian.
It's really odd proportions, I'll say.
It is slightly odd proportions.
It looks like a squished Scirocco.
Which makes it better than the Scirocco? It's Italian. God damn it! I put effort into this. I did actual full-on research these last 2 episodes.
You found a Group B car that doesn't involve asinine amounts of boost.
It sounded really like a 7.5 there, buddy.
Oh, you see, I heard a 10 then. You said it was 10.
But why I would take it back a bit is because I'm not keen on the rear.
If you give this a 10, I will give you that sweet, sweet loving.
That's.
Oh no! My sweet, sweet loving. My sweet, sweet loving isn't even worth 3 points. Damn it!
Do we do mutual favors in this podcast? Is that thing real out?
Bribery is always allowed, especially if it's me. So scores on the doors. I think I'm in last, aren't I?
Right.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not gonna give it. That was my final verdict. I'll give it a 9.5.
Yes! Suck it, Tyler. I beat you.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? Podium, bitch.
Right. So it's between me and Dalen then.
Yeah.
If I give you a kiss right now, will you give me 0.01 of a point?
If you can have a shower in that time.
I think instinctively, because I'm getting murked off, I lose. So congratulations, Dalen. I think... No, you didn't win last week. That was Matthew that won last week. Dalen, I think you take this one.
Yeah, I'm happy to say Dalen won.
I did a thing with little...
You're in a close second.
I didn't want to be a close second. I wanted to be a close first.
Okay, rock, paper, scissors.
I can't play rock, paper, scissors to the internet. I can't see him. He'll just say wherever I would win.
Right.
Abby, that wouldn't work.
No, that wouldn't work.
I'm going to accept my defeat, and I'll have to try harder next time.
Yeah, you will.
I don't even know what next time. I don't know what is going to be next time because it's potentially the train episode where we're just going to get drunk and do train concepts for the fun of it. At some point, I reckon.
Wait, nobody told me about this, but I'm in.
We had a whole conversation about this last.
We had a conversation about turbines. We'd have a conversation with trains.
Okay, to be fair, one of my trains does have a turbine. So.
One of my trains has a turbine. The train I am using is a turbine. I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want.
You're not using the mini train that you thought was in my
town. Yeah, but that existed. That wasn't a concept train. That was so Tyler. If you don't, so you know how there's armored trains, Tyler.
Yes.
And you know how there are miniature train sets where
Hey, hang on. Define concept. So if they only made one of them, is it a concept?
I'd say it's a concept.
Does it have to be a concept, or can we just go on a drunken rant on dumb trains?
If they made like one of them, that means it didn't go into production technically.
I'd say one train. I know what one you're gonna go for the New York Central one, aren't you?
No, I was gonna do something that was a really big gun, but maybe that now too.
No, so the train I was going to talk about just now. Imagine a miniature railway, but with like armor bolted to the side, and the British Army decided, yeah, we'll do that in the Second World War.
I feel like even though I'm breaking rules, the Metroliner has to be discussed. Even though that was the thing they did.
Which one's the Metroliner? That's
the 150-mile-an-hour brick.
Oh, the one that blew out windows on. Yeah.
I've got beef with Pendolinos.
The Bandy
Can we just take a second to recognize that you can armor a train as much as you want, but if you put a chain around the track and drive away with the truck,
Yep.
the armored train is useless.
Yeah,
Yep.
it becomes a pillbox that's deployed in an inconvenient place.
If you want to find out more about why armored trains are terrible, I highly recommend listening to Well, There's Your Problem, Armored Trains, a significantly better podcast, the format of which I've completely ripped off for this.
Because you listen to it in your sleep.
Yeah, I do.
It's osmosis of podcast.
Podcard?
Podcast.
Podcard.
Podcast.
Like the dream is one day we cross over with them, and then they look at us and think we're disgusting, and then they never talk to us again. That's the dream, baby.
I mean, to be fair, we do talk about cars, and they're an anti-car podcast. So
You guys are gonna have to start. You're gonna have to start writing my death in the show after that episode. I'm gonna get in trouble.
What?
Tyler got hit by a bus off screen. Nobody knows what happened.
Why are we killing Tyler?
Because at some point I'm gonna say something on the show to get us in trouble.
It will be Tyler. Let's be honest.
I realized my first, like the first thing I said last episode was bitch. So I don't.
I think the first thing I said in the last episode was yeah, boy.
I just thought of what might get me cancelled.
Oh no! What did you do?
The dream I had last night.
There's no. I'm gonna I'm ending the podcast now. So...
This is going a bit long now.
I don't even know what time zone you're in, but thank you for listening. Good evening, good afternoon, good night, and from all of us, because you know, Borodar means good morning. Hoil Vawr.
Fuckers.
Because
Bye.
Tyler keeps telling me off for telling everyone to say goodbye, I'll just say goodbye from everyone. So from everyone, goodbye.
Fuck your mum.